Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest achievements in life do not belong to those who are the most talented, nor to those who are the luckiest. They belong to those who have mastered the art of persistence. It is persistence that stands as the unshakable bridge between your burning desire and your ultimate success. You see, life will always present resistance. It will place obstacles in your path. It will test you, push you, and sometimes even break you. But understand this, those moments are not designed to stop you. They are placed there to see how badly you want what you claim to desire. Temporary defeat is not permanent failure. It is simply a question life asks you. Will you fight, or will you surrender? Most people quit when they face resistance. They abandon their goals when the road gets tough, believing that perhaps they were not meant for success. But those who persist understand something different. They know that success often hides behind the wall of rejection, the mountain of failure, and the storm of discouragement. They keep going long after others have fallen by the wayside. Persistence is not a gift. It is not something you are born with. It is a habit, a deliberate choice made day after day, hour after hour. It is the decision to stand back up when you have every reason to stay down. It is the refusal to let circumstances write the story of your life. The person who persists develops an unseen power within, a power that commands doors to open and opportunities to appear. And when you cultivate that power, the world must eventually yield to your will. Success comes to those who know what they want and are determined to get it, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many defeats they must endure along the way. It is not brilliance that separates the successful from the unsuccessful. It is the relentless refusal to quit. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you may not control every challenge, every failure, or every defeat, but you do control your persistence, and that alone can move mountains. Persistence is the bridge between desire and success. This simple truth governs every story of triumph known to man. It is not enough to want something. Desire is the spark that ignites the fire, but persistence is the fuel that keeps it burning through the storms, through the darkness, through the endless nights when giving up seems easier than pressing on. Desire alone is powerless without the constant push of persistence behind it. Many people dream, many people wish. Many people feel a fleeting hunger for something more, but those desires vanish like mist when faced with hardship if persistence is absent. True success is reserved for the few who are willing to pursue their desire with a stubborn, almost unreasonable, level of commitment. Desire speaks at the beginning of the journey. It says, "I want this," but persistence answers back each time desire is challenged. When doors close, persistence kicks them open. When the road becomes steep, persistence climbs. When others mock, when others doubt, when others quit, persistence stands firm. The man or woman who achieves does so not because the path was easy, but because they refused to abandon it when it became difficult. They cross the bridge of persistence, step by painful step, often without applause, often without visible progress, but always with the inner knowing that to stop would be the true failure. There are countless people who began with bold dreams. They started with great energy, great ambition, but somewhere along the road, the weight of obstacles broke their spirit. They wanted to succeed, but they wanted it only if it came swiftly, only if it came with comfort, only if it came with the approval of the world. But life does not reward those who wait for easy victories. Life yields to those who persist long enough to wear down every resistance. Success does not always go to the most talented, nor to the most educated, nor to those born into favorable circumstances. Success belongs to the person who persists when every voice says, "Turn back." Success belongs to the one who persists when the results are invisible, when the journey feels endless, when failure seems certain. Desire will take you to the starting line, but persistence will carry you to the finish. It is the invisible bridge that connects where you are to where you want to be. Without persistence, there is no crossing. Without persistence, desire remains a distant dream, a beautiful vision that fades with time. But with persistence, desire is transformed into reality. With persistence, what once seemed impossible gradually becomes inevitable. Every person who has accomplished anything of value has walked across that same bridge. They have faced the same winds of discouragement, the same storms of delay, the same crushing weight of repeated failure. They have been tempted to quit, to settle, to abandon the dream for something safer, yet they chose to persist. They chose to press forward with deliberate, unshakable resolve, and through that persistence, they carved their names into the stone of history. Persistence is not glamorous. It is not accompanied by the cheers of crowds or the sound of trumpets. It is often quiet. It is the choice to rise early and work when no one is watching. It is the decision to keep going after doors have been slammed, after defeats have piled up, after discouragement has whispered that it would be easier to stop. It is not an emotion, for emotions will betray you. It is not a matter of luck, for luck is fleeting. It is a discipline, a habit of moving forward with determination regardless of the circumstance. The person who persists develops an inner strength that cannot be taught in books or classrooms. This strength is forged in the fires of rejection, in the cold nights of loneliness, in the long hours of labor without reward. And slowly, day by day, that person moves closer to success, crossing the invisible bridge that so many never complete. Most people surrender to temporary defeats. They face an obstacle and mistake it for a permanent barrier. They believe the first no is final, the first failure is fatal, the first delay is forever. They turn back at the first sign of difficulty, never realizing that success was waiting just beyond the next step, just beyond the next try, just beyond the next sunrise. It is not that they lacked desire. It is that they lacked the persistence to see their desire through to the end. Persistence does not guarantee immediate success, but it guarantees progress. Each step taken in persistence brings you closer to your goal, even if that progress is invisible to the eye. Each time you choose to persist, you build resilience. Each time you refuse to quit, you gain ground, even when it feels like you are standing still. And over time, the compounding power of persistent effort becomes undeniable. There will be times when you question whether persistence is worth the price. There will be moments when you are tired, when you are frustrated, when you see others advancing while you seem stuck. In those moments, you must remember that the bridge you are crossing is not meant for those who seek comfort. It is meant for those who choose to pay the price of effort, the price of time, the price of endurance. It is persistence that holds you to your purpose when doubt tries to pull you away. It is persistence that allows you to withstand failure without losing your enthusiasm. It is persistence that carries you across the seasons of dryness, the seasons when success seems impossibly far. Success is not always a thunderous victory that arrives in a single moment. Sometimes success is the quiet result of years of persistence, years of refusing to let go of a dream that others forgot. Persistence is not blind stubbornness. It is intelligent determination. It requires adjusting your plans, learning from failures, and constantly seeking better methods while never abandoning your goal. It is the wisdom to continue, to adapt, and to endure. It is the discipline to keep placing one foot in front of the other, knowing that each step, no matter how small, is a step across the bridge toward your desire. The power of persistence is that it changes the person who possesses it. Through the process, you develop patience, you develop focus, you develop a depth of character that cannot be shaken by temporary defeat. You become the kind of person who commands success because you have earned it through your relentless pursuit. Persistence teaches you that nothing worthwhile comes easily, but that everything worthwhile can be attained through steady, consistent effort. Those who persist write their own destiny. They do not wait for the perfect time. They do not wait for the perfect condition. They move forward again and again, knowing that the bridge they are crossing will carry them to their desire if only they refuse to stop. The dream belongs to those who walk that bridge with unbreakable persistence. No matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult the path, every setback is a test of your determination, not a sign to quit. This is one of life's most valuable truths, yet many fail to see it. When defeat arrives, when plans collapse, when the ground beneath your feet gives way, it is easy to believe that life is telling you to stop. It is easy to mistake temporary defeat as a final verdict, but those who achieve greatness understand something different. They know that setbacks are not signs from the universe telling you to abandon your dream. Setbacks are life's way of asking, how badly do you want it? Setbacks have a purpose. They exist to test your determination. They appear to separate the casual dreamers from the determined achievers. They are there to strengthen you, to build in you the very character required to handle the success you pursue. You cannot expect life to hand you victory without effort, without resistance, without challenge. If success were that simple, it would hold no value. It would teach you nothing. It would leave you hollow. When you set out in pursuit of any worthy goal, you are almost certain to encounter failure along the way. Not once, but many times. There will be days when your plans crumble, when your best efforts seem to produce no results, when doors close and people walk away. It is in those moments that life leans in and asks, do you have the courage to continue? Most people do not. They see defeat and turn around. They believe that because they failed once, they must not be good enough. They believe that because the road is hard, the goal is out of reach. They believe that the struggle is proof they should stop. But those who persist know that a setback is not a stop sign, it is a checkpoint. It is a moment where you prove your seriousness, where you either double your effort or shrink away in fear. Temporary defeat is simply a question, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to keep going when others have quit? Are you willing to rise after you've fallen? The power of persistence is revealed most clearly in the face of setback. When everything is going well, persistence is easy. When your plans succeed, when people support you, when opportunities arrive quickly, you need no special courage to keep moving forward. But when nothing works, when you feel the sting of failure, when the world seems to push you backward, it is persistence that carries you through. It is in those dark, difficult moments that your determination is either proven or abandoned. Many people set goals with enthusiasm, but they surrender their dreams at the first sign of resistance. They do not understand that setbacks are not the end. They are part of the process. The setback does not say, you are finished. It says, you are learning, you are being tested, you are being prepared. Success is not a straight line. The road twists, it turns, it climbs steep hills, and sometimes forces you to walk through long valleys of discouragement. But the road is still there for those who choose to keep walking. It is not uncommon for people to mistake a delay for a denial. They think because success did not arrive quickly, it will never arrive. They give up too soon. They stop one step before the breakthrough. They turn back just before the victory comes into sight. Temporary defeat was not their problem. Surrender was. They failed not because they lacked talent or opportunity, but because they misread the meaning of the setback. They did not see it for what it truly was, a test of their resolve. There are countless stories throughout history of people who endured staggering defeats and crushing failures, only to rise and achieve beyond what anyone expected. They succeeded not because they had easier roads, but because they refused to see setbacks as the final chapter. They chose to see setbacks as training, as preparation, as the sharpening of their skills and their character. And because they chose to continue, life eventually yielded to their determination. A setback is a message: grow stronger, grow wiser, grow tougher. It is an opportunity to build patience, to refine your strategy, to develop deeper focus. It is life's way of asking you to dig beneath the surface and discover what you are truly made of. If you retreat, you will never know. If you persist, you will find out. You must become the kind of person who does not flinch at setbacks. You must expect them. You must even welcome them. For each time you rise from a setback, you are demonstrating to life, to yourself, and to the world that you are not easily defeated. Each time you persist, you develop a layer of mental armor that protects you from the next blow. Over time, you become a person of tremendous resilience, a person capable of weathering storms that would break the average soul. Setbacks also carry lessons. Hidden within every defeat is something valuable, a lesson that can guide your next step, a mistake you can correct, a new strategy you can employ. The only people who miss these lessons are the ones who quit too soon. Those who persist long enough eventually gather the wisdom necessary to overcome the obstacle entirely. Success does not always come from brute force. It often comes from intelligent adjustment, from persistent learning, from the ability to keep going with greater knowledge each time. You cannot control the timing of success. You cannot dictate when the doors will open, when the right people will appear, when the results will finally show, but you can control your persistence. You can control your effort. You can control your response to each setback, and the person who masters this control, who persists regardless of delay, eventually reaches their destination. There will always be moments where quitting seems rational. There will always be voices that say, "Perhaps this is not meant for you." But those voices are echoes of fear, not truth. They do not know your capacity. They do not know the strength you can develop through persistence. The truth is that many of the people who succeed are not the most gifted. They are the ones who simply refuse to stay down. Your determination is your greatest weapon. It is your shield against discouragement. It is your compass when the path grows unclear. Setbacks will come, and they will come often, but they are not there to break you. They are there to shape you. They are the fires through which persistence is proven. And each time you choose to persist, you step closer to the success that belongs to those who refuse to surrender. Success often comes to those who refuse to give up, long after others have surrendered. This is one of life's most powerful principles, yet it is one that most people overlook. Many begin the race with enthusiasm. They start with grand plans, loud declarations, and high expectations. But as the road stretches on, as the obstacles appear, as the results delay, many of them quietly slip away. They surrender not because success was impossible, but because their patience ran out. They stopped walking while the destination was still just around the corner. They stepped aside when one more effort would have carried them to victory. Life does not always reward the first to begin. It rewards those who endure the longest. There is a quiet, invisible law at work. The one who persists beyond the quitting point of others gains access to opportunities and victories that are simply unavailable to those who gave up too soon. It is often not brilliance that decides the outcome. It is not luck, nor connections, nor favorable circumstances. It is the relentless decision to keep going while others have stopped. Persistence is what separates those who wish from those who achieve. It is easy to begin with energy, to pursue something when the excitement is fresh, when the idea is new, when you are surrounded by supporters. But success rarely arrives during the easy season. Success shows up long after the excitement fades, after the support disappears, after the fatigue sets in. Success often waits in the place where most people have already quit. The person who refuses to give up holds a secret advantage. Most people do not lose because they lack skill or intelligence. They lose because they surrender their efforts too early. They stop knocking on the door before it opens. They stop digging just before they strike gold. They walk away because the journey feels long, the results feel slow, and they believe the struggle is permanent. But the one who keeps going, who pushes forward with steady effort despite the delays and the silence, becomes the person life cannot ignore. It is easy to look at successful people and believe that they simply had more talent or more resources. But often their advantage was persistence. They simply lasted longer. They kept showing up. They kept working, kept building, kept learning long after others had packed up and gone home. They understood something that few realize. Most of the competition disappears over time. In the beginning, the field is crowded. Everyone wants to win, but as the road grows difficult, the crowd thins. One by one, people drop away. The challenges filter out the impatient. They filter out those who only wanted easy rewards, and the longer you persist, the less crowded the field becomes. The ability to endure when others have surrendered gives you access to territory that most people will never reach. When you refuse to quit, you eventually find yourself in rare company. You find yourself in places where opportunities exist, not because they were easy to reach, but because so few had the endurance to get there. There is a kind of quiet power in simply lasting. Most people want quick success. They chase shortcuts, they chase hacks, they chase immediate results, and when those quick victories do not come, they abandon the mission. They look for the next quick fix, and the cycle repeats. But the person who plants themselves firmly, who builds slowly, who refuses to be moved by delays or difficulties, this person eventually reaps a harvest that others will never taste. When you persist longer than others, you develop endurance. You develop strength. You develop a mindset that is not easily shaken. Each day that you continue, you build a deeper foundation. Each effort, no matter how small, compounds over time. It may feel as though nothing is happening, but persistence always leaves a mark. The unseen efforts eventually produce visible results. Those who refuse to give up gain something else that cannot be taught. They gain the ability to move forward without needing constant proof of success. They develop faith in the process. They develop trust in their own effort. They no longer need applause. They no longer need immediate rewards. They understand that the power lies in showing up, in continuing to put one foot in front of the other, in continuing to work their craft, build their vision, chase their mission, long after others have quit. There is no guarantee that success will come quickly. There is no promise that each step will bring immediate rewards, but there is this truth: most people will not persist long enough to find out what is possible. They will surrender to doubt, to fear, to frustration. They will convince themselves that it is not working, that it is taking too long, that the struggle is a sign to stop. But the struggle is not a signal to stop. It is a signal to continue. It is life's way of asking you to prove how much you truly want the outcome you are chasing. When you keep going after others have stopped, you tap into a force that begins to work in your favor. You build momentum, you build resilience, you build a reputation, not just with others, but with yourself, as someone who does not give up. That kind of self-trust is invaluable. You begin to see yourself as someone who can be relied upon to finish what you start, someone who does not quit at the first sign of resistance. Persistence is not about perfection. It is not about avoiding mistakes. It is about refusing to be defeated by setbacks, by slowness, by discouragement. It is about the quiet courage to try again tomorrow, to rise again after failure, to continue moving when progress feels invisible. Success often comes not to those who made the fewest mistakes, but to those who simply stayed in the game. They endured the waiting. They endured the hardship. They endured the season when nothing seemed to work. And because they endured, they earned the prize that those who quit too soon will never touch. Those who refuse to give up often win by outlasting the problem. They survive the discouragement. They survive the delay. They survive the temptation to walk away. And by surviving, by persisting, by pressing forward when others have surrendered, they cross into a space where success lives, just beyond the point where most people stop. The true test of your desire is not how loudly you can declare your dreams, but how quietly you can endure the struggle to achieve them. It is easy to speak with passion when the journey begins. It is easy to be excited when the vision is fresh, when your heart is full of hope, and when people around you cheer you on, but that is not the test. The test is not how much noise you can make at the start. The test is how much patience, discipline, and quiet endurance you can summon when the work becomes hard, when the nights become long, and when the results seem so far away that you can barely see them. In the beginning, desire often wears a bright and shining face. It is filled with energy and certainty, but life is not interested in the size of your declarations. Life is interested in the depth of your persistence. It will ask you, not with words, but with delay, disappointment, and hardship, how much do you really want this? And you will not answer with speeches or excitement. You will answer with what you do when no one is watching. You will answer with your ability to endure quietly when progress seems invisible. The man or woman who is truly committed does not need constant noise to stay motivated. They do not need to shout about their dreams every day. They do not need to prove to the world how hard they are working. They simply work. They simply keep moving forward. They rise early when they do not feel like it. They stay late when they would rather stop. They work through confusion. They push through fatigue. They remain loyal to the process even when there is no spotlight, no applause, no recognition. This is where true desire is tested. In the quiet hours, in the lonely spaces, in the moments where quitting would be the easiest option. There will be times when nothing seems to work. You will question yourself, you will question your path, you will wonder if all the effort is wasted, the road will seem endless, the steps will feel heavy. The people who once believed in you may disappear, and in that silence you will hear life's real question: do you still want it? The answer will not be found in your words, it will be found in your ability to keep going. It will be found in your decision to continue moving forward with quiet determination. True desire does not always roar. Sometimes it is a whisper that refuses to die. Sometimes it is a steady pulse that keeps beating no matter how tired you become. Sometimes it is a quiet hand that lifts you out of bed in the morning and places your feet back on the path. No matter how many times you have fallen, the noise fades, but the real desire remains. It is not found in grand declarations. It is found in quiet endurance. There is a kind of strength that grows in silence. It does not beg for attention. It does not ask for approval. It does not depend on validation. It is the strength of the one who keeps going in secret, who continues the work when no one else is looking, who holds the line when others have already let go. This strength cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It must be earned through steady, persistent effort. Many people love the noise of starting. They love to talk about their goals. They love the sound of commitment, but few love the silence of endurance. Few are willing to live in the quiet space where success is actually built. They grow restless. They grow impatient. They leave the process because the applause is gone and the excitement has faded. But the ones who remain, the ones who stay faithful to their work even when it feels small, even when it feels slow, those are the ones who win. The greatest desires are not the ones shouted from the rooftops. They are the ones etched into your daily habits. They are the ones written in the quiet choices you make when no one else can see you. They are the ones proven by your ability to endure the long, invisible journey toward success. There will always be people who start faster than you. There will always be people who talk louder than you. But speed does not win the race of life. Noise does not build success. Quiet endurance does. And quiet endurance is rare. It is rare because most people want visible results on their timeline. They want immediate rewards. They grow frustrated when success takes longer than they expected. They abandon the process because they believe that if progress is not loud, it is not happening. But that is a mistake. Progress often happens in silence. Growth often happens in the quiet, steady days of effort. The real builders of success are the ones who can stay loyal to their mission during those quiet seasons. They understand that the work they do in private shapes the results they will eventually achieve in public. They know that success is not an event, it is a habit. It is not a single moment. It is a collection of countless, quiet moments strung together by persistence. The person who can endure the silence becomes unstoppable. They no longer rely on external motivation. They no longer depend on someone else's belief. They carry their own fire. They create their own momentum. They wake themselves up. They push themselves forward. They stay committed, not because anyone is watching, but because their desire has become part of who they are. It is no longer something they wish for. It is something they live for. When you can continue in silence, you become the most dangerous competitor. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You no longer need to be seen or heard to feel valuable. You know that your quiet work is building something no one else can see yet. And that is enough. The world often celebrates the loud starters, but it eventually rewards the quiet finishers. It rewards those who endured, those who stayed, those who kept going when the crowd had gone home. Quiet endurance is not weakness. It is power. It is proof that your desire is real, that your commitment is unshakable, and that you are willing to walk the long, lonely road to success with steady feet and a faithful heart. Persistence is the quiet architect behind every great success story. It does not shout. It does not demand attention. It simply builds, brick by brick, day by day, through failure, through difficulty, through delay. It is the force that works when inspiration fades. It is the force that keeps moving when the way is unclear. It is the silent partner that does not abandon you when the applause stops. The one who masters the power of persistence gains an invisible advantage in life. They carry with them a force that makes them impossible to defeat, because no failure is final until they decide to stop. As long as they continue moving, they cannot be truly beaten. Failure is not the enemy. Delay is not the enemy. Difficulty is not the enemy. The real enemy is surrender. The real defeat happens when a person decides to stop trying. Persistence destroys that defeat before it can settle in the mind. It says, I will continue, I will try again, I will find another way, I will rise again tomorrow. Persistence does not always bring immediate success, but it always keeps failure from becoming permanent. There is a law that seems to govern life, a principle that time eventually reveals. Those who refuse to quit often succeed not because they had the easiest path, but because they kept going when others would not. It is not talent alone that separates the winners from the forgotten. It is not intelligence alone. It is not resources, background, or perfect timing. It is the will to continue beyond the point where most people have grown tired and walked away. Persistence is the inner contract that says, I will not leave this unfinished. I will not let temporary defeat become the story of my life. I will press forward no matter how long the journey takes. This contract is powerful because it does not rely on constant success. It allows for failure. It allows for mistakes. It allows for long seasons where progress is invisible, but it does not allow quitting. The persistent individual understands something the impatient person never learns. The obstacle is not the end. The delay is not a sign to give up. The failure is not a life sentence. These are simply chapters in the larger story of success. Every failure contains a lesson. Every obstacle contains a key. Every delay contains hidden preparation. Most people never discover these truths because they abandon the process too soon. They retreat when success was still possible. They lay down their efforts when victory was only a few more steps away. Persistence gives you something else that is often overlooked. It gives you control. Life is unpredictable. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control the actions of others. You cannot control every outcome. But you can control whether you continue or whether you quit. Persistence hands you the power to remain in the game, no matter what happens around you. When everything else seems to be against you, when the results are moving slowly, when the doors seem to close in your face, persistence is the decision to stay on your feet. It is the decision to keep knocking, keep asking, keep moving. The person who persists begins to develop a kind of quiet wisdom. They see that most battles are not won in a single day. They see that most dreams are not achieved in a single attempt. They learn that life's greatest victories are often slow to arrive, but sure to come to those who refuse to abandon the process. They stop looking for instant rewards and start focusing on consistent efforts. They stop craving the short race and start committing to the long journey. Persistence also teaches patience. It forces you to face long seasons of uncertainty without surrendering your purpose. It stretches your ability to endure discomfort. It tests whether your commitment is tied to easy results or whether it is tied to something deeper. It refines your character. It strengthens your discipline. It shapes you into someone who can be trusted with success because you have proven that you can withstand the weight of the journey. Each time you persist through a setback, you grow, you build inner strength, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself. You learn how to navigate difficulty. You develop the ability to stand alone if necessary. These are lessons that cannot be rushed. They must be earned through experience, through effort, through persistence. The truth is that you will face discouragement. You will meet rejection. You will encounter moments where your progress feels invisible. You will be tempted to think it is not working, to believe that success belongs to someone else, to question whether your effort matters. In these moments, persistence is the bridge that carries you forward. It says, "This may be hard, but it is not over. I will continue." There is no straight path to success. The road is filled with turns, obstacles, and unexpected delays. Those who expect a smooth, easy journey will quickly surrender. But those who understand that persistence is required will not be surprised by the challenges. They will expect resistance, and they will prepare for it. They will walk forward not with blind optimism, but with quiet determination. They will trust that steady effort produces results, even if those results take time to appear. Persistence also earns you something that no shortcut can buy. It earns you mastery. When you persist, you spend more time developing your craft. You go deeper into your work. You refine your skills. You learn the details that others miss. You gain an edge that cannot be copied, because it was forged in the fires of long effort and repeated attempts. Over time, persistence builds momentum. It gathers power. Each day of continued effort adds to the weight of your progress. What seemed impossible at the beginning becomes achievable because you refused to let go. The walls that once blocked you begin to crack. The doors that once were closed begin to shift. Success begins to bend toward the one who has proven that they will not be moved. There are no guarantees in life, but there is one truth that has been proven time and time again. Those who persist, who stay faithful to their work, who continue in the face of defeat, often find themselves in places that others never reach. They discover opportunities that are hidden behind the trials. They achieve victories that belong to those who simply would not quit. Persistence is the quiet, relentless force that moves mountains. It does not always make noise, but it always leaves a mark. It builds, it shapes, it carries, and in time it delivers those who hold it close to the very success they once thought was out of reach.